What's up, everyone? This is George from Offbeat Podcast, and I'm right here at Psilo Talk Podcast, and I'm here to just share my spoken word called Mirror on the Wall. Mirror on the wall. What is it that you see? What's the image that reflects before me? What's the image you see as I stand before thee? Because all I see are shattered dreams, disappointments haunting me. It's guilt who comes to peek, pointing and laughing at my misery, manifested in the flesh through those that feel mightier than me, covered in their robes of false religiosity, forgetting that they too were once broken like me. They've forgotten what the mirror on the wall would reflect for them to see, that indeed they too were covered in deceit. They do not turn to greet or even look at me. They forget about the shame that once embraced. It's one thing I contemplate, and I cannot understand how people can be so cruel and not even try to understand. As if all that I have done meant nothing at all. Was it all really for nothing? My intentions questioned by the opinions of the sheep who follow the herd but never the shepherd's feet. All the good has been shadowed by one choice. My consequences I must accept, for it's part of the path created by my choice. But mirror on the wall, what is it that you see? What image reflects for others to see? Has everything I've done truly been undone? Why do I care about what others see? Driven by rejection since I could remember, craving acceptance since I could crawl. Mirror on the wall, what is it that you see? It doesn't matter what you see if all I see is me. I ask, who is the person that I see? I glance and all I see are insecurities, fury and angry inside of me because I hate what I see, agreeing with what everyone else sees. So many ambitions and so-called dreams drowned by the pool of that shame that was built by me. Mirror on the wall, powered by the one who is above, the one who sees me the way no other person can, the one who sees inside of me and calls me always his own, that protects me from the eyes of those that see me with disgust, but you embrace me and hold me into your arms, who has sustained me in my shallow moments and saved me from the drowning in the sea of deceit. It's the mirror on the wall that I avoid to look and see. Why? Because the fear of what we see can be an ugly thing to see. It's not easy to admit when we are in desperate need, the need of approval from all that surrounds thee. We hide behind disguises that we've designed ourselves to be. We hide behind the shadows so that others cannot see what truly lies behind the person that stands before thee. The mirror is not meant to be powered by me, nor is it meant to be powered by thee. The mirror is meant to be powered by the one who designed you, the one who created us and called us fearfully and wonderfully made.
What is up, people? Annibal the Animal here, and you're watching Psilo Talk Podcast. Today, we have an awesome guest. He is the creator and host of Offbeat Podcast. He's also an amazing man. He is a husband, a friend, and a mentor to many. Please help me welcome the great Jorge Ambriz.
What's up, Anibal? Annibal, thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you, brother. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy day, coming down here to Pasadena to the Coin Academy and coming on to Psilo Talk to share your story, brother. How's your day been?
It's been good. Busy but good. It's been raining all day, so I love being indoors.
Okay, I hate the rain.
Yeah. As long as I'm
getting wet.
Yeah, as long as I'm indoors, man, I love, being inside the house, drinking a cup of coffee and doing some work, and nice and cloudy, raining.
So. There you go. Where are you coming from again? I forgot to ask.
So San Bernardino.
Okay.
So right there, the Inland Empire.
Damn, bro, you coming from the hood.
Yeah, that's a
lot of G's are from San Bernardino.
A lot, yeah, man. San Bernardino has a bad rap, man, but you know what? It is what it is.
It used to be the murder capital of California, just so you know.
Man, no, I think
Fresno's now beating it or something.
Yeah, I think so. Oakland or something like that.
It's not a competition, but you know.
Yeah, no, it's getting better, man. You know, San Bernardino has potential. It does.
It's an interesting city because it's in a really nice area, you know, by the mountains, and you know, but I don't know what it is. It's been just kind of ridden by crime for a long time, you know.
Yeah, man. I don't know, you know, it's they gotta. I don't get into politics or anything like that.
Yeah.
I kind of shy away from it.
You're gonna blame it on Trump?
No,
I'm just kidding.
Heck no, man. That's the city.
That's funny, bro. Would you mind handing me those keys real quick? Yeah. I think those are mine. I forgot them there. Thank you, bro. Aesthetics, it matters, you know. Well, brother, again, I want to thank you for coming on to the show. You know, I found you on Instagram probably a few months back, and I've been watching your content for some time, and, you know, I love your message. I love your aesthetic of your podcast. So I was very curious in hearing your story for a couple of reasons, but I think it was about a week back or so I saw the post about, you know, the passing of your cousin. Yeah. So I want to give you my condolences to you and your family about that.
Thank you.
But this show, Psilo Talk Podcast, is specifically geared towards helping people that are struggling with some type of mental health issues, whether it's depression, anxiety, panic disorder. You know, we like to go through people's hero's journey, our guest hero's journey, to pull insight, wisdom, guidance that can help other people through hard times. Yeah. And it sounds like that's what you're already doing on your show, you know, so it fit in perfectly. Yeah. Our sponsor is Macabars, psilocybin mushroom bark company. The benefits of psilocybin right now are clinically being researched, and they're having some really, really good results when it comes to rewiring the brain chemistry and helping people that are suffering through depression, anxiety. And the cool thing about psilocybin is that you don't have to consume it every single day. You know, there's been research done that, you know, people that had just one microdose saw the benefits of it, you know, up to 6 months, even a year out, you know, compared to what the traditional medical community states is like, hey, jump on these SSRIs, you know, Lexapro and, you know, Zoloft and all of these pills that make people feel like zombies. You know, it's masking what truly is underneath, which is trauma. You know, and if people don't know how to deal with the struggles and traumas of life, it can end disastrously, you know, whether it's, you know, self-sabotage up into, you know, suicide, which is one of the topics that I wanted to talk about today, you know. But before we get into that, what I wanted to do is find out a little bit more about you, bro, because I heard a couple of your episodes on the way here, and I've been doing some research, and I didn't even know that you were involved in ministry, you know. So tell us a little about that. How was that journey, and how did you end up here now as George from Offbeat?
Oh man, bro, that's gonna be like a whole nother 2-3 episodes.
There you go.
No, but I'll try to kind of summarize it the best that I can. So basically, man, all the way up until my teens, I was pretty much a knucklehead, man. You know, I was.
You grew up in San Bernardino?
No. So I grew up in Vegas.
Okay.
Yeah, I grew up in Vegas.
Sin City, brother.
Yeah, I was born out here in Pomona. Shout out to P-Town.
There you go.
Born in Pomona, and then but no memories from here. Yeah. All my memories are childhood memories, everything from Vegas. So grew up out there. Quickly escalated, man. I got into drugs, got into the gangs, went down that rabbit hole.
How old were you when you were first introduced to drugs and gangs?
So gangs, it was right there because we grew up right there off of 28th Street near Eastern and Bonanza. And so that was, there was projects right there. So there was a big gang right there. So we pretty much every day we saw it. Family, immigrant family, you know, both mom and dad. From Mexico, shout out Michoacan, Durango.
There you go.
That's where my mom and dad are from. And they came, hard workers, you know. Yeah. They wanted the American dream, not just for them, even for us. They did what they could, you know, but that lifestyle was just, it was, how do you say, it was attractive. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Flashy.
Yeah, it was flashy. It was attractive. You know what I mean? Like the low riders at that time still, you know what I mean?
What year was this?
We're talking 90s.
90s? Okay.
Yeah, 90s.
Yeah, I remember those years.
Yeah, so like, you know, cause I'm from 86. So I was probably about 5 years old and up, you know what I mean? So just seeing that.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I grew up, you know, most of my life watching that. You know, around 10 years old, we moved out from there. My parents finally, you know, accomplished one of their dreams, which was to buy a home. And so we moved to the little bit further northeast of the city. At that time, that was like real middle class in Vegas, real middle class. So we moved there. And I can honestly say, like, we dodged a bullet, you know what I mean? Like we did good for a few years, my brother and I.
Yeah.
But then,
moving into the suburbs helped you get out of the gang world for a little bit, man. And I go into like a lot of detail, like on the very first episode of my podcast, I go into a little bit more detail, but basically, man, like you still, you know, kind of like trying to fit in, you know what I mean? Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that a lot of people, it's funny because I came across an article years later, even after like everything had happened, but it was about urban kids that grow up in, you know, low income families, like in the projects, government housing, things like that. And then when their parents, you know, finally are able to move towards like a middle class family, there's a gap that happens right there, and it really does mess with the child's self-esteem, confidence, you know, because now a lot of times, like, just, you know, you move out of the hood, but what happens is that
the hood don't move out of you.
Well, yes and no. So like, you know, you're trying, but the thing is, like, you're moving towards, like, you know, with you're mingling with kids that they pretty much were, and not their fault, but, you know what I mean, they're middle class from the day they were born.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like their style, their way of dressing, everything is just basically like they grew up in that environment, healthy families, you know what I mean? Not everyone, but, you know, for the most part.
Right.
And so here comes us, you know what I mean? Like, you know, still trying to fit in, trying to find out who our friends are and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So years pass. Finally, when I finally like went all in with drugs and gangs, I was 15 years old.
Okay.
Yeah. When I finally made the decision, I was like, you know what, at that time, that was my thought. I was like, man, you know what? I guess this is who I am. You know what I mean? All my friends were already in the mix, you know? Yeah. So,
if you don't mind me asking, what was your drug of choice, and what organization were you part of?
Yeah, so I belonged to a neighborhood. It was called Black Street over there, and they had a chapter out there in Las Vegas. Yeah, and so all my friends, they were that's what they represented. That's where they were from. You know what I mean? Like, I grew up with a lot of these cats. You know, so it was just like, all right, cool. Like, it felt like home, felt like a family at that time. Yeah, and then my drug of choice though at that time, what really got me was methamphetamine, crystal meth. Yeah. I fell into that, man. It was, and that was my downfall. Like, it really was, because I mean, it did something, you know, and anyone that has ever gone down that rabbit hole with that drug can attest, man, that honestly, man, it's the devil's drug.
Yeah, there's different levels to drugs, you know, and I feel like heroin and meth are probably the worst. Next to fentanyl, of course, 'cause it'll kill you right away. Mm-hmm. But for people that don't know, you know, typically what happens with someone that consumes methamphetamine, they get really, really energetic, and to the point where they don't even sleep. They'll go 2, 3, 4 days, 5 days without sleeping. And you go into something called methamphetamine-induced psychosis, where you start to literally go crazy. You start to hallucinate. You start to see things. You'll notice a lot of addicts to methamphetamine have a lot of skin issues, because they pick at their skin a lot, because they feel that there's bugs in them, or they feel there's something. So, and they're very paranoid. They're always like looking around, and it's such a crazy drug that it consumes your whole life. And you can't have a regular job. You know, that's almost practically impossible, because you're always on this drug that has you going crazy. A lot of truck drivers, though, do take it, you know, but they test them now. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, though. Like, there is like high functioning, just like there is high functioning alcoholics. Yeah, there's high functioning, you know, meth addicts. You know what I mean? I wasn't one of those. Okay. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't one of those. Like, I was that guy, like, where all I wanted to do was just get high. You know what I mean? And then what my real downfall was, I started to sell.
And when I started to sell, like I started to get high on my own supply. I had unlimited supply. So it was, it got really bad, man. And the day I still remember it like yesterday, man, the day I realized that I was actually addicted to it, was because it was like right after Thanksgiving, came to visit some family, and we, I'm like, you know what, I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop. I'm going to chill. I need to like really rethink my life. Yeah. So I'm like, you know what? I'm done. Yeah. I go to sleep it off for like a whole day. I think, I wake up and man, I'm anxious. I'm antsy. I'm frustrated. I'm mad. I'm angry. I'm just like, I'm over here like trying to keep my mind preoccupied. I'm working out. I'm doing all this. And I'm only like, at that time, I was 18 years old at that time. Yeah. And I'm like, man, you know what? Like, it didn't even think twice. I said, you know what? I got the phone, hit up my homie, and I'm like, hey, you know what? Like, where you at? Oh, okay. Hey, I'll be there in so-and-so, let's go get some, let's go get some more. And right away, man, that's when as soon as I hung up the phone, man, it just hit me. I'm like, dang, like I'm addicted.
You knew it at that point.
And at that point, I'm like, dang, I'm addicted. Like, I can't stop, Yeah. And it was a scary thing. It was a scary thing because now it was like, it pretty much was controlling me.
What's interesting is most addicts don't believe they're addicted. Most addicts think that they enjoy the drug that is giving them a positive effect on their life. Right. Not until they have completely wrecked their life do they realize, maybe this drug is not helping me. Right. Maybe it's a detriment. Let me stop taking it. And then they realize I'm addicted. Right. So the problem is that, not the problem, but the answer is becoming aware, as soon as you possibly can. Hopefully before you even try, like I won't try it because I might become addicted and it's going to destroy my life. Right. Yeah. And I tell people this all the time, I don't condone any type of drug use or any substance that's going to put you in a frequency that's going to cause you to live a bad life or make you do bad decisions. Right. I do believe in plant medicine that'll help you elevate your frequency to what I call the God source to help you tap into answers and to creativity, which is why I'm a proponent of, psilocybin. But any substance that you consume, whether it's food, water, music, movies, reading, whatever substance you consume, it'll put you in a different vibrational frequency. And your vibrational frequency will affect your actions, the way you go throughout your day. If you watch a funny movie, you're going to laugh. That's the frequency. Yeah. If you watch a sad movie, you're going to cry. Yeah. If you consume alcohol, you're going to get lower. If you consume meth, you're going to be really high, but not in a good way, you know? So you have to really mind what you consume and at what quantities, because there's certain things that are beneficial to a certain degree, and there's certain things that are not beneficial to a certain degree. Right. If you eat anything, you become a big fat slob, Right. So you got to learn how to fast, how to eat when you need to eat, how to read when you need. You need to know how to do what you need to do when you need to do it. Yeah. And that's the hard part of people. And that's called organizing your life, man. Getting your shit in order, getting it together. So what was the catalyst to help you get out of that addiction?
So the catalyst that helped me, man, was, I really, again, like I was only 18, man. And that's one of the things that I'm so grateful for is that I was able to come to my senses at a young age, which was at 18 years old. I was able to come to my senses and I was able to realize, man, you know what? Like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not doing anything. And by that time, man, already, like, God was already dealing with me personally, like he was already, I already felt the tug in my heart, you know what I mean? That I needed to change, and that's one of the things that I'm grateful for. I always share with people, man, that, I'm grateful for my mom who, loved and cared about us so much. And she'd get on her knees, man, and pray for her children, man. Cause, really that was like one of the things that really brought me to that place of like, man, you know what? I know that I need to change, and I know that it's deeper than the substance. I knew that it was deeper than what I was doing. I needed a complete change of heart. Yeah. And so that really was finally, that was kind of like where, okay, because when I was already aware that I was addicted. Yeah. And that was one of the ugliest things was one of the ugliest feelings, like, honestly. I think even more than being, because I had gone through the juvie system, I had been locked up in the county jail a few times already at 18.
Wow.
So it was, man, like, I felt it was like a prison within itself.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, it was, I can honestly really say, like, going back, it was like, it was God number one, but then also, my mom, man, that didn't give up. My mom really would always just find ways or find people, just to reach out to me, and so I thank God for her. I thank God she's been a huge role in my life, but yeah, man, it really was, man, like, it was, yeah, man, like, there's really no other way to explain, man, like, and I'm just grateful that it was at 18 years old.
Yeah.
Because I've seen so many of my own homies, so many other people that I've known that they're lost, bro, in that drug.
Yeah.
That drug destroyed them. It messed them up, like, mentally, physically. I have homies that are doing life in prison.
Yeah.
And it really is like, yeah, they're crazy fools, you know what I mean? But
yeah,
you know what I mean? But when they're on that drug, man, like, that drug, it just consumes you. It takes over, bro. And
yeah,
you start doing things that, by the time you realize what you've done, you're like, it's too late.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's the devil's drug.
Yeah.
It'll make you do things you never thought you would do. Mm-hmm. Luckily, I've never been addicted to any hard drug in that sense.
Oh, that's good, man.
I've had my issues with alcohol, which I've done a lot of bad decisions while under the influence of alcohol. I'm like, shit. Again, disclaimer out there, anyone that is struggling with any type of addiction, there is help. There is hope to get out of that situation. There are people in your life that can guide you. In your instance, it was your mom and the people that she had reach out to you.
Yeah.
Did you go through the withdrawal symptoms when you decided to stop, or was it gradual, or how did you do it? Because maybe you can give someone out there that wants, because let me tell you, there's a lot of people that want to stop.
Right.
They just don't know how. They don't have the support, or maybe they're not hurting bad enough. I tell people all the time, the addict will typically never quit until they've hit the rock bottom, where nobody is there to help them but themselves.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, man, a lot of people at that point, decide to fuck it. They either commit suicide actually, or they commit it spiritually, emotionally, mentally.
Yeah.
They tap out.
They tap out. They clock out.
And you can walk down Skid Row here in downtown LA, and you can see them there if you want. Yeah. And you can tell that they just made a decision that, I'm done. I don't want to live in normal society. I don't want that. I can't live a normal life. I can't get rid of this damn monkey on my back. I tried to many times, and I just keep going back, and I just keep on destroying everybody's life. So I've made a decision to be on my own, and it doesn't have to be that way. So what advice would you give someone that's at that point where they want to stop doing the thing that they know they shouldn't do? Yeah,
no, it really does come down to, man, you got to come to a place where you hate it. I really believe that with all my heart. You have to come to a place where you hate it, and I think that the last time I went into county jail when I was 18, it was like maybe a week or two right before I went into rehab. And that's when I moved here to San Bernardino from Vegas. But I had gotten
So you did go to rehab?
Yeah, I had to, so rehab for sure. But getting me there, man, it was months in the, man, like I was like, no, because and that's why, like, I sympathize and I empathize so much with people that are struggling with not just mental health, but even with addictions, because I know what it is to want to stop. You know what I mean? And I know what it is to want to do good and want to progress and want to get ahead and want to leave this behind, but then not being able to, because I would get out and then, I would do good for a few hours or a day or two, and then boom, I'd go back, and so, but I came that last time, it was like, man, like I really came to hate it. I'm like, you know what? I had to create a hate relationship with it because I had to see all the negative effects that it was, because I lost my family, you know what I mean? Like, well, I didn't have kids or anything, but I lost because I would just stop by my house every now and then, but I was kicked out. You know, so I was an 18-year-old living wherever I could.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like getting clothes from wherever I could, which would be from like homie to homie's pad. You know, I had grandmas and moms kicking me out of their houses.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, man, this is, you know, school. I had, you know, messed up school in my life. I had messed up relationships, like, you know, boyfriend-girlfriend relationships. I had messed up. You know, even my relationship in my own neighborhood, my hood, like with my homies and everything was being messed up because of it. You know what I mean? So there was no good coming out of this. So I had to create, like, man, I hated it. I came to the point where I hated it. And I was like, man, I don't want this anymore. And because for me, in my situation, man, like that's what it had to come to. And then that's when I was able to finally surrender.
That's the word, brother.
Surrender. And I had to surrender. And that's where, for me, you know, again, like for some people it might be, oh, that sounds cliche or that's, you know, preachy or religious. But honestly, for me, it was God. You know, God really helped me to I was able to finally surrender over to God and finally be able to come with my maker, my creator, you know, who I was designed to be. Because my whole life, like, I didn't know who the hell I was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I didn't know who I was.
Was your dad in the picture?
Yeah. He was in the picture, but I mean, that's a whole nother story too.
And the only reason I ask is because you're a man, you know, you're a male, just like me. And what I've noticed a lot about kids that are, you know, drawn to the dark side, into gangs and drugs and, you know, that fast life, that shit that comes easy. They're looking for a transition into manhood and they don't really know how to do it. And I feel that in today's society, there's really no, you know, route to become a man. I know a bunch of 40-year-old little girls, you know, boys, I'm saying, that have never understood discipline, hardship, overcoming. They don't know their purpose as a man, what they're supposed to do, you know, and I think the reason why young kids look at these gangsters, you know, they seem like, oh, that's a real man. He makes money. You know, he's a boss. He can have the girls he wants. He has the flashy, the Impalas you're talking about. He's got style. Cars, you know, he commands people. He tells them what to do. He's telling me what to do. Like you look up to these people like a father figure almost. But they're directing you in the wrong way. They're not actually teaching you a valuable lesson. They're utilizing you as a pawn in a larger game. Exactly. And it's they call them a dummy mission. You know, they send a lot of these kids on dummy missions. Like, you're gonna get caught for sure, but that's what we want. You know, you're gonna get shot for sure, but that's what we expect. We don't want us to get shot. We're gonna send you to go get those guys over there, or go take these drugs over there, or smuggle this, or do that. And that's just becomes their lifestyle to the point where they become you know, kind of jaded and also desensitized. Because I ask myself all the time, you know, I'm Mexican just like you. And in Mexico, they have a big problem with cartels and drug trafficking. And the way that they control the people out there is with fear. You know, if you're from an opposing cartel, they will do some crazy stuff that, you know, they'll chop you up into pieces. They'll kidnap you. They'll do whatever to inflict fear on everyone around there to stay in line. And a lot of these kids that are doing this killing are desensitized. They were not bad people until they were exposed and forced to do certain things. And I've been watching a lot of interviews of these sicarios, hitmen, and they talk about their freaking trauma. The first thing they talk about before they talk about anything else, listen to why I became who I became. Listen to why. And a lot of times you're like, damn, well, no wonder this was like that, you know? And they talk about their first experience. Their first experience is always complete dread and fear. Right. You know, unless you're a clinical psychopath, where you don't feel emotions like a rational person, which is literally like less than 0.5% of the population that's actually a psychopath. Most people have empathy. They have the ability to emote with others, and they feel shame and they feel regret. But once you are exposed over and over and over again to something, you just become desensitized to it. And it's such a hard life to get out of. And it's such a traumatic experience to go through. You know, so I really try to find out, how can I help my people, you know, not go down that route. And I think a lot of it is having accountability men to men. You know, if you see a young man that has no direction in life, has no purpose, is maybe lend a reaching hand in the sense of maybe just talk to the kid, find out what they want, what they're looking for, and give them a different option.
Yeah. No, 100%, man. And I mean, that was, because again, my dad was in the picture, but the only thing is that, you know, and I've had episodes where I talk about it. Me and my dad today, we have a good relationship. It's a great relationship, father, son, you know what I mean? And I love him. I love my dad. I love my mom. But growing up, one of the things that there was a lot of absence, a lot of moments where he wasn't there, maybe the way that, you know, that he could have been there, you know what I mean? And again, like, I don't, oh yeah. I mean, and that's typical, you know what I mean? And
that's traditional Mexican father, bro.
Yeah. And and that's what I'm saying. Like, when I go on and talk about these things, like, because I don't ever want to push off the responsibility that, it was their fault that I ended up doing what I did.
As an adult, you have to take self-accountability.
I take 120% responsibility for all the dumb stuff that I did. But now, as a dad myself, I have 3 kids. And so one of the things is that, like, I'm understanding more and more. I don't have it down, but I'm understanding more and more the importance of not just being present, you know what I mean? But the importance of, you know what I mean, how a father is vital. It's not just important, it's vital. It's essential to the emotional support, to providing confidence within that young man, that young lady, providing them a role model, you know what I mean? Providing them with and understanding where they are, understanding their personalities.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because for me, like I was immediately drawn to that, you know what I mean? And so, like growing up, like I worshiped my dad. You know, I wanted to be like my dad. I wanted to, you know, like, I loved him. But then there finally came a splitting point where I'm like, you know what? Like, in my mind at that time, I don't think like that now, but I was like, man, this dude, he wants nothing. That's how I felt. I felt this dude wants nothing to do with me, even though I'm his son, but it felt like we had no connection.
Yeah.
And so that's when I said, you know what? Like, I'm going to go where there is connection. I'm going to go where I am needed. I'm going to go where I am respected. I'm going to go where, and I was an angry young man. I was an angry 15-year-old. So I you know what I mean? I fit in perfectly. You know what I'm saying? You know, so, I went down that hole, and, but yeah, man, it's super important. You know what I mean? Like, it's super important for fathers to understand, man, that, you know, it's much more like, again, we understand that as parents, as fathers, like, you know what I mean? We have to provide, we have to do these things. But at the same time, like, I believe, like, me as a dad and a lot of new dads that are coming out there, what I'm seeing more, you know what I mean, is there are a lot of dads that are paying attention to things that weren't paid attention to them when they were growing up. Yeah. And so they're becoming better at being aware of that.
Yeah, I think the role as human beings is to evolve and become better in everything we do. You know, our technology gets better. You know, our communication gets better.
Right.
We should be able to heal our generational trauma over time, you know, and it's a vicious cycle because it's a paradigm. And what a paradigm is, it's if you live in a certain environment and that's all you know, it is very difficult to think differently, that there is hope. There is a different way of being, you know? Right. And I noticed that a lot, especially from, because you're first generation.
Yeah.
Right. Same thing. My parents were born in Mexico. I'm first generation. I was born in LA, but my parents were from Chihuahua, you know, and my dad was born in a ranch. He's never been in a hospital in his life. He was born like on the dirt on the floor. And, you know, his whole life it's been grinding, you know, and he lived a really traumatic life. And I can see his suffering in his eyes and in the way he is. He's extremely isolated and, you know, he doesn't talk a lot. But when he does, he has so much to say and like he's got his own personality, you know. But it's interesting because a lot of, you know, Mexican-American families, the father is focused on one thing: provide. provide. So they will grind themselves to the freaking knuckles, to tooth and nail, working like fucking whatever there is, whether it's like working in the fields, working construction, working 3, 4, 5 jobs just to put food on the table and a roof over your head. And they're so stressed out and they're so like just worried about providing that sometimes the other stuff, you know, takes a back seat. Like fuck your emotions. I need to go to work. You know, I'm up at 4 a.m. and I come back at 7 p.m. and you're telling me all this stuff. Like, I just want to drink my beer and relax.
And that's why it's super understandable. And that's why like I have so much grace for that side too. You know what I mean? And I always like, even now, like I joke with my dad, because my dad's, he's heard my podcast and everything. And, and he'll be telling me in Spanish, he's like, híjole, like, ya me quemaste, and you know what I mean? And you know, we'll joke around, funny. And my uncles too and stuff like that. But he knows that I love him, you know, but you know, I talk about these things because again, it's not so much to shift the blame, but it's to bring awareness, you know what I mean? Like to this new generation of parenting that we need both, you know what I mean? Like, because there's one thing that there's two extremes always, man, is that it's kind of like what you said right now. It's the key is awareness. Because again, like you got these young men that become drug addicts, and then you have these men that are working hard. You know, they might not do the same thing, but at the end of the day, they both don't deal with the trauma. You know what I mean? Like, so you can have someone that works hard 10, 12, 14, 18 hours a day, and they do everything seemingly right, but inside they're dying. And then on the other side, you have someone that's just the way they lash out. The way they're lashing out is through the drugs. It's through the gangs, it's through the violence, and it's through all these things. But the similarity is that they don't deal with the things that truly deal with, that have to be dealt with. There is no awareness. And so that's kind of like what I want, because for example, like the discipline that my parents showed me as growing up, do I resent them for that? Heck no. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the disciplines that I have today, a lot of the hard work ethic that I have today in my life is thanks to their example. Of course. You know what I mean? But you know what I mean? Like could their discipline, was it a little bit harsh at times? Was it necessary all the time? The way they did it, you know what I mean? Like could some apologies could have happened through those situations? Of course. You know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff that could have, you know, that I see in that situation that I'm aware of now. I'm like, now with my kids, I'm like, I don't want to throw discipline all out. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want my kids to know or think that they can do whatever they want because, oh, dad is trying to be like this happy, mellow guy. And, you know what I mean? He's trying to be a kumbaya type of dad. Like, no, like I'm still a man. You know what I mean? I take fatherhood serious, you know what I mean? But I take it serious enough to where if I make a mistake, I'm willing to go to my child and be like, hey, you know what? Dad was wrong. Dad shouldn't have spoken to you that way. Dad was dealing with this, and I know it's not your fault. It's not your job to understand what dad was going through, but I just want you to explain. I just want you to understand that it had nothing to do. So I'm reinforcing things in a way that's a lot different. Why? Because again, like when you're a child, bro, I read this the other day, like a child doesn't understand what a parent is going through. It's not their job. You know, a child isn't, oh yeah, that's dad. He's working 10, 12 hours. He has all these bills. Like they don't understand. They don't understand that, or they don't understand why mom is getting angry or getting upset. They don't understand. Like
they don't get the bills are past due and we're trying to figure shit out and like we're stressed out and you're like asking about a bunch of stuff. You're like, you yell at them for a brief moment.
They spill, they spill something and then boom. And they don't understand that parents have bad days too. You know what I mean? And so what happens though to a child's psyche when you grow up in an environment where that's all you see, that's all you know? There's no reinforcing. There's no like talking things out. There's no anytime you want to express an emotion, it's because you're hurt, you know, because you got a whooping. But when you want to express an emotion, or you want to talk about something, or you want to say what's really on your mind, or you really want to explain why things weren't your fault, you know what I'm saying? When it comes to those type of things, you know, that's where again, like trauma, it can build up inside of a child. You know, it can start messing, depending on the personality of the person or the child. The way they grow up, man, can begin to affect their sense of responsibility. It can affect their self-esteem. You know what I mean? It can affect their confidence. It can affect the way they deal with other people, the way they deal with criticism, the way they deal with authority. I mean, the list can go on and on.
I read this book long time ago. It must have been like 15 years ago. It's called The Body Bears the Burden. And it talks about how most people develop their personality from like the time that they're like an infant to like around like 4 years old. Mm-hmm. That's where their brain is so malleable that they absorb everything.
Right.
They absorb the world, right? They see everything, they hear everything. That's why the bond between a mother and a baby is so important, especially in those critical moments, as well as the father.
Right.
And what it talks about is how people deal with stress. Sometimes if, let's say you grew up in a household where whenever there's a stressful situation, your father or mother went out of the rails and started screaming, everybody yelling and hitting people.
Yeah.
And the kid's response was to shut down, right? To isolate. Or maybe they observed the mother respond to bad situations by getting angry.
Right.
So they observed that, and then maybe they developed that type of thing. So it's very important as a parent and as a society to be aware of how you react and act with other people, interact with them, because it affects everybody. It doesn't just affect you as a person, but it affects those around you.
Yeah.
But it's so true what you're saying, man, about, pretty much everything. So now at this point, you're 18. You went to rehab. You quit the drug, you quit the gangs.
Yeah.
Was that hard to quit the fucking gang if you were selling drugs for them?
Yeah. You know what? I mean, the thing is, man, out of respect, you know what I mean? Like, it was pretty much like, okay, you know what? If that's the choice that you're going to make, it was pretty much like, okay, it's cool. You know what I mean? Like I didn't really get a lot of backlash from any of that. So that was kind of the good thing. But yeah, man, it was, the effects, man, of the drug. I'm thankful even for that part, bro. Like, cause even when I didn't really go through withdrawals. That was one of the things. Like I was really tired. Yeah. So I did sleep and rest for like at the rehab. They let me rest for about 2-3 days.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I just slept and would take naps. But one of the things that really jacked me up, man, is that it really jacked my immune system up.
Really?
Yeah, man. That was
sick.
That was like my withdrawal. Like it.
You got a lot of colds.
My allergies went through the roof. Like I was like, getting sick real easily.
Yeah.
So I don't know if anyone else has ever, going through the rehab, like it's funny because I really didn't see a lot of people go through that. But for me, it was
I haven't really done any research on withdrawal symptoms of methamphetamine.
It's different. It's different for everyone.
I've heard, I've read the withdrawal symptoms with, like heroin or any type of opioid. That one sounds like it's fucking hell. But
bro, I would see heroin. That was one of the things, bro. I would see, because we would get all kinds of people. Mm-hmm. But the biggest one was crystal meth and heroin.
Yeah.
Bro, my sympathy, bro, for people that have kicked heroin.
Yeah, that sounds like it's really hard to do.
I would be there, bro, and I would, there was times where I would have to care for them, Yeah,
because they're literally like sick to
their whole body.
Yeah, it's like they're going through hell.
They're sweating. There's some that have abscess, pus, like that. And so, I remember we would help them treat it.
Yeah.
I mean, they get this craving for sweets, like all the time. Like they don't want food. They don't really want. They just want sweets. And man, like that was one of the things I would just, we would just be there and we would just watch them and wait for them to go to sleep. But then they would wake up, and I mean, and I was like, you know what? Like it just moments like that. Like I would be like, man, God, thank you. Like thank you that I didn't touch that drug, and thank you that my withdrawal wasn't as bad, because. Yeah, I was just really tired. And then like for like 2-3 months, like I just felt my immune system really weak. But then after that, man, like, man, it was, and I had all my senses.
Yeah.
So.
And, did you kick it and never, what's it called when you go back to it? Relapse. Or did you go through some relapses along your journey?
No. So at 18, after I left, after I stopped crystal meth, thankfully to this day, I've never touched it again.
Congratulations, bro. We're going to give a clap for that.
Yeah. Thank God, man. Thank God. That was, because again, I mean it. It sounds funny probably, but I hate it.
Yeah.
There's even times, bro, where I've talked to people, and it's funny because I was having this conversation the other day with someone, and I was like, bro, like I can tell when someone's on meth. I can tell, bro. Like I can smell it. Because it doesn't really smell. It doesn't. It's just when it's smoked, like you can't really smell it that much. But there's a scent.
Yeah.
And anyone who's ever done that drug knows.
Yeah.
And there's a scent, bro. And I'm like, I've been like face to face with people, and I wanted to tell them, like, bro, you're on crystal, huh?
Yeah.
But you know, like I'm like, that's not my place. That's not my place. You know what I mean? But I can smell it. I can like the pores of their sweat, bro.
Yeah.
And just the smell, bro, I hate it.
Yeah.
I have this hate relationship with it, bro.
Well, that's a good thing.
It's
because if you love it,
thing.
that's a really bad thing.
And that's where a lot of addicts struggle with, bro.
Yeah.
A lot of people that are addicted. That's and when they come and they're real with it, when they keep it 100, they'll usually be like, yeah, man, I still love this.
Yeah.
You know, and I sympathize and I empathize with them. But that's one of the things that when I'm talking to them one-on-one, I'm like, that's the problem. I'm sorry, like I love you, but that's the problem is that as long as you have this door open, it's like an ex-girlfriend, bro.
Yeah, it's the way I see it in my mind is that they look at the drug as some kind of superpower for them, you know, because from my experience with people that become addicted to these drugs, it's like the guy that can't really talk to anybody in the club, so he gets, you know, some alcohol, now he has a little bit more, you know, to go up to the girl, and or the guy that, you know, is very lazy, doesn't do anything, but as soon as he does his meth, he's able to clean his room and like do all, he's like, man, I could do everything done when I'm on this stuff, or like, you know, the party drug where like when you're out clubbing and you have the cocaine, then hey, you're the cool guy with the cocaine. I could like get all the girls with this, you know, I can do whatever I want. Every drug has its little what people think benefit. Right. You know, but if you step yourself outside and you look into the movie of your life, it is not a benefit. It is a detriment to your life and to your goals and everything you're trying to do. So what I tell people is, look, what you need to do first and foremost and figure out in your life what you want to do, what is going to bring you true fulfillment, you know, not what's going to pass the time and make you happy, because that's an emotion that's fleeting. Anything that's purposeful and that has true meaning, focus on that thing. And on a daily basis, everything that you should do should be revolved around that thing. And if doing the drug is taking you away from that, then you probably shouldn't do that drug. You know, pick up a different thing to do, you know? And I think that's the problem with a lot of people. They really just have no direction of where they're going with their life.
Exactly. And that's what I was going to say, is that the thing is that it's the root. Yeah. It's the root, looking at the root of things, man. And that's really where a lot of my mental health journey, without me knowing, that's really where my mental health journey really began for me. So after I kicked the habit of the drugs, because again, like it's, you know, we can say all that, like, you know what I mean? Like, hey, you know what I mean? Like if you're experimenting with this, like this and this, but the thing is, man, that if you're experimenting with it already, the most likely is that there's something inside you broken. Yeah. There's something inside you broken. And if there's something inside you broken, it's obviously taking you to try these things because it's you're trying to replace you dislike your current identity. Yeah. And so you're trying to find your identity in these other things. But the problem is this, and this is what I always tell young men, you know what I mean? Is I'm always like, okay, but how do you know you're not going to get addicted to that? Yeah. And that's the problem. You know, the thing is that you're playing with fire.
Or if it's going to kill you.
Or it might kill you. It might OD.
Everything has fentanyl in it right now. And if you're not accustomed to taking a certain amount of any type of drug, you can easily overdose. There's stories after stories of kids that this was their first time doing any type of substance. Their friend gave them this pill. Their friend gave them this powder. Their friend gave them this tablet. Their friend gave them this thing to smoke. Yeah. And next thing they know, they're dead. You know? Right. And where's the friends? Nobody knows. Who was the person that gave them that drug? Nobody knows. They ran away. They left them there to die alone when there was so much potential. And that's the thing that is a tragedy above all else. Imagine if we rewind the time back and you never left that addiction, where your life would be today if you even had a life, you know? Yeah. If you even had a life, it would not be anywhere near where would your kids be here? Would your wife be here? Would your family be where they're at? Would you be doing the things that you're doing today? And the answer is more than likely a flat out no. You know, it would be, it's easy to look at someone and look at their trajectory. You know, I was born with a heart murmur, and I used to go to the cardiologist like once a year. Then it came 5 every 5 years and like every 10 years. Now I go like every once in a while.
Yeah.
Every single time I go to the heart doctor, he tells me the same thing, like, go vegan, stop eating meat. You have your, you know, it's like I can see your trajectory. And then he pulls out this chart, like, look, if you keep on, you could live this much longer, or you can die. Like, he told me exactly like when I'm going to die. And I'm like, damn, bro, I'm not going to go vegan, but okay, I'll listen to you, you know? He's like this giant hippie. But you can see into people's future from what they're doing now. They don't understand that your actions are seeds and you're planting them, and they're going to come out one day, you know?
And that's the thing, like, is there's the rule and there's the exception. You know what I mean? And like you said, like, usually the rule is like, you're able to see someone's trajectory. You're able to see by what they're doing, who they're hanging out with. You're able to see, you know, not that you want to be mean or judgmental or anything like that, but the fact is that you see it and you can see the trajectory of where they're going. You know what I'm saying? And that's the problem is, and a lot of times people are always looking to be the exception. You know what I mean? Like, and when it comes to those things, and it's like, no, like, why play with fire? Like, be the exception, but be the exception and be exceptional in these other areas of your life. Yeah. You know, don't try to look to be the exception and like, oh, you know what I mean? I played with a little bit of this. I played with a little bit of that. I played, you know what I mean? And eventually, like, I found, no, like, because again, like, it's like I always tell people, man, I got a grace card, but it doesn't mean that I recommend people to go do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It doesn't mean people like, oh yeah, like, oh, well, he made it out the gangs. Like, he made it out, you know, crystal meth, like, you know, cool, you know?
Yeah.
But man, what if I wouldn't have made that decision? You know what I mean? Like, again, like, why play with fire? You know what I mean? Like, because then at the same time, it goes on to affect other parts of your life, and we can get into that right now too.
Yeah. So one of the subjects that I really wanted to tap into, I know we went down the rabbit hole of addiction, which can be like 4 episodes.
Oh yeah, know? Man. That's
I have another show with my partner Danielle DeVoe. She's also a clinical psychotherapist. The show is called Open Mind Podcast, and we touch specifically on mental health.
Okay.
You know, we talk about depression, anxiety, panic disorder, anger. And she's a specialist when it comes to grief, but we haven't had any episode on addiction. So maybe we can have you on that and we could go a little bit deeper onto that platform and that subject. But one of the subjects I wanted to touch on was, you know, suicidal ideation and, you know, depression, because, you know, the last episode that you put out, you know, with your cousin's, you know, untimely demise, and, you know, it really hit me. Because I've been down that road a couple of times in my life. And to be honest, it was the catalyst to my evolution as a man. So I have my message to the world that I want to share when it comes to that. But before we get there, I kind of want you to share with the world, you know, what lessons you learned from it, because there were some important things that you said on that podcast that I wrote a couple of notes that I'll bring up. For people that don't know what I'm talking about, I want you to share a little bit about the story, and we'll go from there. Yeah.
So on Christmas Day, we got a call. Christmas Day of 2023, we got a call. I got a call. It was probably like around 12 p.m. or so, and my daughter, who I co-parent with, came home that day, and she was opening her gifts, you know. And so my mom was calling. I thought maybe she was going to call to say Merry Christmas or something. Yeah. But no, like, she called to give us the news. At first, I couldn't even understand her. My mom was hysterical. Wow. I couldn't even understand what was she saying, nothing. And I had to, like, Mom, like, I can't understand you. Like, calm down. What is it? And so finally I was able to hear, and she's like, Javi, se nos fue Javi, se fue Javi, and, you know, se mató, you know, like, and oh man, like, I just, honestly, like, at that moment, I've shared, I couldn't even process it. Like, I couldn't really make sense of it. I didn't even know what to feel, what to think. Honestly, like, in that moment, what most men do is I just kind of turn to frustration, you know, a little bit of anger. Anger, because I was just so mad. Not so much at what happened, but I don't even know what I was mad at, to be honest.
Were you mad at him?
No, I wasn't. I was just, I think what happened is that because I've had my battles with mental health. I want to say, you know, most of my 20s and even leading up to my 30s. When I turned 30, that's when I made a big decision, a big shift in my life. But I've always had these battles, and I don't know, it just kind of like hearing what had happened and just being like, why? Like, why, man? Like, why did he have to lose? Like, and then it just kind of like brought like a hopelessness in a way, like where, dang, like, what is the point? You know, like, what is the point? Like, and I just kind of went down that rabbit hole, and I just kind of didn't know what else to think or feel. So I just started to feel angry, frustrated, but I couldn't believe it. You know, I couldn't believe that my cousin, 30 years old, you know, had done that, and I didn't know why.
Did he leave a note? Or?
So he did. Yeah, he left it. They didn't know. They couldn't find it. The police, everything, like once they were there, you know, this happened in Vegas, and they searched, they looked for everything. They gathered as much as they could. They went through his computer.
Yeah.
And so on his computer, they did find, he had like a search for psychologists in the area.
Yeah.
There was another search for like the song that he was listening to. And then there was another search for how not to be resuscitated. You know, so, and he had knives there and everything. But eventually, like, you know, he ended up, you know, he had a pistol. And so he ended up going that route in his home, because he lived with my cousin, my aunt, and some roommates there. And but on Christmas Day, man, like it was like it took me even a few days, because we got ready as fast as we could, and then we head out to Vegas the next day right away. And man, seeing my aunt, seeing my cousin, seeing them, my aunt is very strong, you know. They're very strong. They're very strong-minded, just like my mom. And I had never seen her the way that I saw her. I mean, she was devastated, broken, shattered. I couldn't even really recognize her because she had been crying so much. And it was just heartbreaking, man, to be in there.
Oh, man, yeah. I can only imagine the amount of suffering that she's going through, and all of you are going through. You know, my deepest condolences to you guys. And in that note, did he leave a reason as to why he decided to part ways with this world?
Yeah, so when he left the letter, he stashed it in a shoebox.
Yeah.
And so we believe he had probably already been plotting this for some time.
Yeah.
So because my aunt is the one that ended up finding it, and it was like a day or two before the funeral. So we were already back in Vegas, my wife and I, and they let me read the letter. And just the things that I was reading, that's what really, really broke my heart so much, because the things that he was explaining in his letter were just things that people go through every day. And they're things that I think sometimes that we as people take for granted, because we don't understand that there are people in this world that really struggle with, maybe for someone it can be the simplest thing.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, he shared how he wished he could, you know, talk to someone, but it's his fault too, because he doesn't really trust people. You know, he wrote how much he loved his mom, and how it's not her fault, and how strong she is, and how he wished he could be strong like her. And, you know, just things that I know I've gone through, where I'm like, I don't feel strong enough. Like, I don't feel like I'm good enough, you know. And he wrote a lot of these things that were just heartbreaking. You know, he talked about finding love. You know, he wished he could find love and find a girl that could love him for him. And you know, he wished he could have a family and make his mom proud. And, you know, those things that you're like, oh, man, like, I wish he could have just talked. You know, I wish he could have just opened up.
Yeah, that's the hardest thing for a lot of people. This is what I've realized through my own life experience and through observing the world, is that everybody that's, not everybody, but a lot of people that are struggling with these issues, you know, feel like they're alone, feel like they're the only person in the world that is going through what they're going through. 100. They feel like, and we human beings are a highly evolved species of primates that seeks patterns and wants to understand. When we do not know an answer to something, it frustrates us so much that we rather believe a lie than not know anything. You know, we rather just like whatever it is. So for someone that's struggling so much and just struggling with life and everything seems to be going the wrong way, they want to know why. Why is this happening to me? Why? And they never find an answer.
Right.
And it's a life of so much pain and agony that they decide, you know, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I don't want to hurt. I know personally that most, because of my own reasons, people don't want to kill themselves. They want to stop the suffering. They don't want to be in pain anymore.
Right.
You know, and
no, and it's true, man. You know, and I think that was one of the things that, now that I've been able to process things a little bit more, because again, that day I didn't really know what to think. I mean, as a matter of fact, it took me almost a week, you know, to actually finally mourn, you know, to actually finally let my tears out and everything. But I think that was one of the hardest things is because I know what it is to feel like that. And regardless of even the good, because he had good around him, you know, but, and I could remember moments when I would get like that and I would feel like nothing else makes sense. Like my pain is stronger, it's louder than anything else. You know, any good that might try to come or any good that might be there, I wasn't able to see it because I was so blinded by the internal pain that I was feeling inside.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's what hurt so much, because it was like, dang, like he let it get to him. You know, he and I was just like, man, I wish why I wish I could just see him one more time and that he could share those things with me so that I could just tell him, like, I don't know what I'd tell him, but I would just, you know, it just sucks that he had to go out that way and that he felt like there was no hope, you know, because he was a young man. He was only 30 years old. You know, he still had a whole life ahead of him. And I think the reason why, too, I was so passionate, like I became so passionate. I was already very passionate about this topic, but I became even more passionate about it because I said, you know what, this is why I have to stop being afraid to speak up about this subject. I have to stop putting myself in front of, you know, I have to stop being afraid of what people are going to think or say, because the thing is, there's a lot of men that are suffering in silence.
Yeah, it feels for men that it's weakness if you speak about your emotions and speak about your struggles. They feel like, if I tell people, one, they're not going to care.
Yeah.
They don't care. They have their own life going on. So, for example, like your cousin probably in his mind was like, I don't want to burden my mom with my problems. I don't want to burden my cousin with my problems. I don't want to burden the world with my problem. Like you said, he was kind of isolated to the world. And that is probably the worst thing to do when you are in a dark moment, to isolate, because like I said, you feel like you're alone. And then you look around and you actually are alone. You're in your little bubble of misery.
Right.
You're in your little bubble of pain. And you feel like no one can understand.
Right.
Today I went to the gym, brother, and I was on the treadmill, and then this girl walked in, and she was completely burned from head to toe. Like, I don't know if there's above 3rd degree, but it was like severely, severely burned. And you could tell she was walking with pain, you know, just by the scars on her face and her hands and everything. Like, man, and I felt bad, you know, And a lot of people have the same amount of trauma, but it's internal. You can't see it. You know, I remember when I was going through the worst situations of my life, I would drive to work just like fucking crying and like begging God, why is this happening to me? And then getting to the office and just turning on a fake smile,
Yeah.
you know, performing what I had to perform to the best of my abilities, and just, how's your day going? Great. How's yours? Great. You know, and it feels like no one understands you. No one cares.
Right.
So that makes you even more depressed.
Yeah.
And it's a vicious cycle that you just go down this freaking misery.
Yeah.
And there was a couple of things that you said when you were reading his note that he left behind that I kind of wanted to touch on, because I think a lot of people ask themselves these questions. You know, I wrote them down. The first one he said was, why can't I fulfill my dreams?
Yeah.
You know, you said that he says something along the lines of, I set these goals and I don't accomplish them.
Yeah.
Like, why can't I do that? It's
Right.
frustration. So many people, you know, have that where they want to do things and they feel like, why isn't it working? Why isn't it working?
Right.
You know, and I've been there before. I think most people have. You know, that's part of the process is to get resistance.
Right.
You know, and for people that are positive thinking and success minded, when the way that they observe opposition, the way that they observe resistance is very, very different than people that don't succeed. The way that they look at it is like a necessity. I need this resistance.
Yeah.
I need opposition. I need it to get stronger. I go to the gym and I lift heavy ass weights. Why? Why am I suffering? Why am I sore? Why am I in pain? Why do my joints hurt? Because it's making me stronger.
Right.
Because it's going to paint I'm going to chisel away the mural that I see in my head. So they look at it different.
Right.
You know, if a business failure doesn't go the right way, what is the lesson? Instead of like, woe is me, it's let me look at it through a different perspective. So a lot of the times, a way you can transition from that negative mindset of like, woe is me, is accept whatever the world throws at you. I study a lot of Stoic philosophy, you know, and one of the principles is amor fati. It's a Latin, which means love your fate. Whatever your fate is, you have to love it. If you are, you know, whatever, you sweep floors, you enjoy the process of what you're doing, and you set a goal, and then you go after that. I'm gonna be the best freaking floor sweeper.
Yeah.
And you find purpose in something, you know? Again, if you have no direction, no purpose, it is very easy to get sideswiped into
Right.
a negative state.
Right.
Another thing that you said is like, I wish I could find a woman who loved me.
Yeah. So kind of going back just to kind of not get lost in the transition. So the first thing, like, you know, about that, because I love what you were saying right now, but the problem is this. That's the problem, is we have too many people defining success for us.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah. You look at other people and you base your situation off of theirs.
Exactly. Or, you know what I mean? Like, and that's the thing, like, and that really does become a root problem for a lot of people, because like if you sit there and you watch all these different people and eventually, you know what I mean? Like you don't see yourself becoming like them, or you don't see yourself transitioning into that, or you don't find yourself in the same rhythm as they do. It's going to be very easy to get discouraged.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's going to be very easy to, you know, and that's the problem, is that we as a culture, we as a society, you know what I mean? Like we don't encourage enough to like where, like you said, like, okay, what can you fall in love with? And that is you. Because like going back to him, you know, we were talking about this with my family when, cause we were just talking about him and stuff, and he had his car parked outside. And my tia was just sharing with us, like, yeah, you know, that was his car, you know, and he had just bought in, you know, 4 tires and 4 rims. He had they're brand new. He had just bought in them. And me and my brother were like, man, like that is good. Bro, there's a lot of people that fake success and they can't even buy themselves a tire, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, bro? But that's the culture that we live in. We live in this backwards culture, bro, that tries to tell us what success is. And it's like, nah, like, to me, that's successful. You're telling me, Tia, he was able to buy 4 tires and 4 rims at the same time? Bro, there's people
like
that
buy like one used tire
exactly,
right here,
bro. Like I know
can
people.
you patch it, please?
Bro, exactly. There's people that get in front of a camera, bro, fake success, bro, and you got people eating it up, bro, thinking that they're successful, and it's like, nah, man. Like I don't care what they got going on. I don't want to be Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
I don't want to be this. I don't want his figure of masculinity. I want to be my own man. I want to be a father to my kids. I want to define success in the way that is successful to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing, bro. Like that's what really hurt me was that, like, that's why I was like, bro, this guy, because my cousin, he had no addictions, bro, nothing. I'm like, that is a success in itself.
Yeah.
You know, he was a good-hearted man. He took care of his mom. That is successful, bro. How many sons out there, bro, I even admit it myself, are really looking after their parents? Not a lot, bro.
Yeah.
There's very few out there, bro. And I'm included. I don't look out for my parents maybe the way that I could. You know what I mean? Bro, he lived with his mom, but he looked out for them. You know what I mean? Like to me, that's successful. That's a successful man. He was able to hold a job, a good job. That's successful.
Yeah.
But the thing is, bro, we eat up what this culture, bro, tries to tell us what success is, bro.
Yeah.
You know, oh, if you're not killing it, if you're not doing this, you're lazy. If you're not able to meet that, oh, just because this. Stop watching TV because I'm not going to stop watching TV, bro. Like, if I like watching a show and it winds me down, guess what I'm going to do?
Yeah.
I'm going to watch my TV show, bro. I'm not going to let anyone tell me that, bro. But ask me that 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And I would have probably been, because I was in the same mental state, bro.
Yeah.
And I'm not mad, bro.
Yeah, no, let it out, bro.
But you know what I'm saying? But it's because it did anger me, bro. It angers me because it's like, man, why couldn't, I wish my cousin could have seen, bro, how successful a young man he truly was. And that any woman, it might not have had happened that moment, but any woman in a year, 2 years, 3 years, when they really look at him for who he is, they're going to be blessed to have him, bro. They're going to be blessed to call him husband. They're going to be blessed to have his kids. But unfortunately, man, it's too late for my cousin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's why this message is so important to me, because I want those that aren't willing to speak up, because I know what it is to be 30 years old, bro, and not want to talk to anyone, closing myself in, bro, going into a dark rabbit hole, bro, ignoring my wife, not being able to be a good dad to my kids because I was so depressed, bro, not wanting to go to church, not wanting to be around anyone, bro, because I was in a dark place. I know what it is to feel like a piece of crap. I know what it is to feel like scum. I know what it is to be called things on the internet. I know what it is to be despised by people that you used to help, bro. And I went into this dark place, man. But one of the things that was able to help me at that moment, you know, was that I thank God that I was willing to open up. And that's why this message is so important for me, because it's like, man, like all it takes is something to trigger a man to finally say, and that's my hope. That's my hope, is that someone that hears this anywhere, it could be years from now, regardless, but that they hear something that finally triggers them to say, I'm tired of feeling this way, so I'm going to open up with someone. I'm going to finally get this out, whether it be through counseling, whether it be through therapy. For me, it was therapy and counseling.
Yeah.
You know, I was finally like, man, you know what, George, like, are you going to be, because you're mad at the world, you're mad at your kids, you can't even be a dad, your wife that loves you, that cares about you, you push her away, all these people you keep pushing away. You want to be this? You want to be like this, or you want to change? And bro, I remember like yesterday, man, I got on Google and I searched counseling centers near me, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what I'm hoping, that somebody, bro, that is in my cousin's shoes, that is in my shoes, that was in your shoes the way you were, that would hear something, it would say, man, you know what? You know, forget this image of what success is, man. Let me throw that image out. Let me, you know, and that's why I'm so, like, I speak this way about it, because honestly, bro, it's garbage. Some of this success stuff that people are pushing out there, bro, it's garbage.
Yeah. It's
garbage, bro, because, bro, like, I mean, I'm not saying that if you're in a certain industry and you want to kill it in that industry, I'm not saying don't prepare yourself. No, but what I'm saying, bro, is that there's people out there, bro, that are defining what success is. And it's like, shut up, man. Like, you don't know if that might not be success for this person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like let's talk success in a way where we need to wrap like you said earlier, we need to be able, and that's the thing, bro. That's another thing about me, man, is that I'm not just on a podcast, bro. I'm hands on. Yeah. Like when I turn the mic off, bro, when I turn the camera off, bro, I'm calling people. I'm texting people. I'm sitting down at coffee shops with young men. I'm getting phone calls from young men, from their wives, from their girlfriends, bro, telling me what they are going through, bro. I'm sitting in kitchen tables with them, bro. So I know what's going on, bro. I'm not just, you know what I mean? And that's the thing, bro. A lot of these people out there, bro, they just give a message that resonate with people. Yeah. Because it makes them feel good, but then they're never hands-on with people, bro.
Yeah.
They're never part of the solution.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to, and so a lot of people, bro, are trying to like feed into what success is based off what they say.
Yeah. I understand exactly what you're saying, and it's interesting that your cousin was looking up therapist, in his Google search.
Yeah.
And I'm going to share a story with you just so you can kind of get an idea of my realization from my experience with dealing with this stuff. So I'll rewind a little bit. And I've shared this story once before, but I'll go a little bit more in detail this time just so that people can see kind of my mentality around at that time.
Yeah.
And kind of see why I understand why your cousin was feeling the way he was feeling. So, I was married, like literally a week before the first COVID shutdown. It was like February 20th, 2020, right? This woman that I married, to me, in my mind, like the visual look of her was what I thought I always wanted. It was like my dream woman. You know how in your mind as a little kid, you kind of picture what the type of girl you want?
Yeah.
And I thought that's what she was, right? So it was one of those like everything happens really fast type of relationships, right? And it was not what I thought I wanted. So it was a very toxic relationship. I won't get too much in detail, but it ended very, very drastically in a really horrible way.
Sorry for that.
What happened was I was holding on to so much anger and so much pent up aggression from the lifestyle that I was living with this woman.
Yeah.
Because that lifestyle was very, very toxic and it was a dark world. Those success people that you're talking about, all these rich and famous people, I was in their world, and it's not ideally the world that I come from,
Yeah.
I'm a business professional. I'm a high ticket salesman. I am a businessman. That was my world. And I got wrapped up into a different world. And I was like, I thought it was cool. So if you looked at my life from the outside, looking in, at the time, it looked amazing.
Yeah.
Married to a supermodel. You have a family, had 2 stepkids. The kids loved me. I was in love with the kids, had a cute little Yorkie, bought a brand new house, brand new cars. On the outside, it looked flashy. But on the inside, it was putrid. It was, toxic. It was killing me as a man and as a person. And it ended with me almost killing a guy in a bar. I beat the living shit out of this guy. And when people think like, oh, you got in a bar fight, they think, oh, the guy had a purple eye, right? The real world is very, very different than the movies. In the real world, motherfuckers like me can kill you with their hands, And I nearly did that. And thank God that the guy did not die because I broke like over 20 bones in his face, broke the orbital wall, a couple spots, shattered the nose, broke the jaw, cracked the skull. It was really, really bad.
Yeah.
Camera here, parked the car outside, camera right on the car. There was no way in hell I was going to escape this, right? And I knew in my mind, like, fuck, like I didn't just hit this guy in a purple eye. I beat the living crap out of him. And this dude deserved an ass beating, but he did not deserve what I did to him. When I was hitting him, I remember screaming, fuck you, fuck you. Every time I was hitting him, I can just feel his bones breaking. Yeah. And I was not me. I was outside of my body looking at me. Something happened where I snapped out of it, and I stood up and I looked at him and I was like, oh my God. And I looked at my ex-wife at the time. She's like, well, let's go. So we took off, right? And the first thing she said was, I think we should get a divorce so he doesn't sue us and takes my money. And I was like, how about we're going to get through this? How about I'm here for you, right?
Yeah.
Needless to say, I'm telling you, I'm a business professional. I have my real estate license, my freaking lender's license, my insurance license, all kinds of licenses. I did all kinds of stuff in the professional world.
Yeah.
I was going to lose it all. You know, I was charged with assault with great bodily injury. I was this close to being charged with mayhem. And I was looking at 10 years in prison. I knew that relationship with that woman needed to end. It was the hardest thing I ever did. Yeah. Because like, I'm telling you, like I was all in. Like we tattooed like we're retarded. We tattooed our names with infinity symbols with our names on each other, you know? Don't worry, I got it covered up. But I was in love with these kids. They were my children. Yeah. You know, we had a life together. I thought this was the person I was going to spend the rest of my life with. I knew that if I stayed with her, I was going to end up either killing someone or killing myself because of the lifestyle that she lived and the type of person she was. Yeah. I thought I was going to go to prison for 10 years and lose all my professional licenses, lose my freedom. I was going to not be able to ever have a regular job. I was going to have this stain on my name. I wouldn't be able to vote, wouldn't be able to have any gun, wouldn't be able to do anything, right? And I was completely isolated from the world because of the type of lifestyle that I was living. Yeah. No one really knew what was going on. They just thought I lived a perfect life. Yeah. It wasn't. It was hell. And I slipped into the worst depression of my life. Yeah. Like it was so fucking weird, man. Like I'm a musician. I'm an empath, bro. Like I emote and like I felt nothing. Like I wouldn't eat. I wouldn't feel. I would hear music. I would feel nothing.
And I would. Yeah, that's a scary.
I felt thing to absolutely feel, nothing, and I just felt complete dread. I was having panic attacks multiple times throughout the day, like 20 times throughout the day, nonstop anxiety. Just literally, like I tell you, I was driving and crying, sitting in my office crying, driving back home crying, getting to my house crying. Like I was like losing everything. Right. I couldn't sleep at night. I was just like twitching next to this woman that was a fucking devil to me. And, I told her, take it all and leave me alone. Leave me the fuck alone. Yeah. I left with not a penny, kept the house, kept the cars, kept the furniture, kept the dog, kept everything. I left with $100,000 in debt because I had to hire an attorney, cost me $20,000, had to bail myself out, cost me $10,000. Long story short, I had to pay this cat $20,000 in restitution. I was looking at losing my job, losing my freedom, losing everything. I was in so much pain. I lost what I thought was the woman I was going to be with for the rest of my life. Yeah. And just like your cousin, bro, I did the research. Made a decision. I'm going to kill myself. I don't want to live my life in this pain. I'm just constant. I can't sleep. I can't do nothing. I can't do this anymore. Luckily, I didn't have a gun, you know, because that would have been the easiest way. Yeah. And I looked up and it said, I said, pills. I'll take some pills. I'll take a bunch of drugs. And then the shit said like, you're probably not going to die. You're going to have like kidney failure and you're going to be all fucked up for the rest. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. And then I looked and I said, jump from a building. I do commercial property management at the time. I had 3 high-rise buildings that I can have I have access to. Yeah. You know? So I was like, that's it. Bet. I'm going to jump from a fucking building. So I remember the day, you know, it was like 2 a.m. and I had made the decision I'm going to kill myself. No one knew. At this point, everybody still thinks I'm living a perfect, including my job. They didn't know I was going through this. Yeah. I had already built myself out. I already was living on my own. The ex-wife was at the house that, you know, we had together, moved in the ex-boyfriend in like the next day, you know. Mm-hmm. She left my dog in the backyard and he drowned. And it was like the only joy that I had at the time. Could no longer talk to the kids. My parents didn't know what was going on. They live in Minnesota. I'm literally alone here. Nobody, no friends, no nothing. And I remember going to the freezer and pulling out a bottle of Jack Daniels, and it was brand new. I remember I cracked that sucker open and I was in so much fucking pain, dude. And I was driving down the 210. It was like drizzling. It wasn't raining hard, but it was like drizzling a little bit. And I remember I had the windows down because I just wanted to feel the cold. and I was chugging this fucking bottle of Jack Daniels. And in my mind, I remember telling, why, God, why is this happening to me? I remember getting to the building, and I saw the security guard that's always there at night. Yeah. And I was like, what's up, man? I had the bottle in my jacket. And I go up to the top floor, and there's a balcony on the floor. And at this point, I already chugged half of the bottle. I'm fucked up, dude. Like, everything's like hazy. Like, you know, when you see lights and you move, they're like fucking all over the place. And it was dead silent in Pasadena. And I remember putting the bottle down and going over the ledge. And I looked down at the floor, the cold, wet floor. And I was holding onto the rails, and I remember thinking in my head, like, is this going to hurt? Yeah. And I said, yeah, it's going to hurt, but it's only going to hurt for a few seconds, and then your misery's gone, Aníbal. And I made the decision right there. Fuck it, I'm jumping. Right when I was about to jump, brother, it was almost simultaneously, I heard a voice speak to me. And this voice, it said a name. It said my mother's name. It said Noemi. And I felt a fucking sword like stab me in the heart, like from my spine. I remember never being so afraid in my life. Like, the fear of God hit me, brother, like deep. Like, I remember just I became sober in that second, that split second. I was like, whoa. And I remember like all of my muscles like tensed up so tight that I nearly slipped. Like, I went like, wow, like, cause I was so fucking tight. And I remember being terrified. In a split second, I imagined the misery and the suffering that I would give my mother. And then I thought of my dad, I thought of my brother, I thought of my nephew. I thought about the people that actually loved me, not about all the bullshit that people think is success. Yeah. I didn't care about the car. I didn't care about the house. I didn't care about the money. I didn't care about the job. I didn't care about nothing. What I cared about was my family. Yeah. My mother, Noemi. That's the name that spoke to me, that saved my life. I jumped over that fucking edge like a ninja. I remember trying to catch my breath. I was breathing so fucking heavy, dude, that I was screaming like, and my fucking voice, like my breath was ruminating through the whole city. This is like 2 a.m. Probably the homeless people were like, what the fuck is going on up there? And I remember looking over to my shoulder and seeing that Jack Daniel bottle, just the condensate. I could read every single little word. And at that moment, I made a decision. I made the decision of my life. I said, I'm going to redeem myself. I'm going to change my life, and I'm going to do something to make my family proud. Yeah. And I died that day. You know, I actually died. So my podcast, my business, my vision, every single thing that I do started from that point forward. Yeah. It was called Dreams to Reality. That's the name of my company. That's the name of my brand. Yeah. And the dream, like you said, your cousin said, why can't I fulfill my dreams? Yeah. You know? And I know every single human being in this world has dreams. Yeah. They have in their mind, like, this is what I want. But life doesn't go the way that you want all the time, you know? Yeah. Sometimes it throws resistance at you. It throws opposition. And the hero is the person that conquers that opposition. Yeah. And I decided at that point, I am going to become the hero of my life. Yeah. And I put on everything on me. Everything. And everything I say, give me more. I can take it. I can take any suffering. I can take any pain as long as it's in the direction of my vision. And the word that you used today was surrender. I chose to surrender to that process. Yeah. You know, and I became like very, very committed to my cause. Yeah. And people that work with me, people that know me, they understand, like, this motherfucker is committed. Yeah. You know, he will do whatever it takes to succeed. And the hero must die, either emotionally, spiritually, mentally. Yeah. You have to consume yourself in order to evolve. You had to kill the old George, the drug addict, meth meth head gangster.
Yeah.
You had to kill that guy.
Yeah.
You had to create a new hero, which is the person you are today and the person you are becoming.
Yeah.
Because what makes life so meaningful is the process of evolving.
It's being able to be content. You know what I mean? I think that's very powerful. A lot of people confuse content with laziness. And that's not true, man. It's two very, very different things. Being able to be content. And before I, move on and explain, I just want you to know, man, I'm grateful that you didn't make that choice. I'm grateful, man. You know what I mean? And I don't know you a lot. We just met today, literally.
Yeah.
But I can say that, yeah, you know what? Thank God you didn't, bro. And I'm sure your mom is also very grateful, because there is nothing more painful than to see the pain, left for the family, to bear, you know what I mean? And sometimes we don't realize, you know what I mean? And there's again, I'm not trying to get all crazy or spiritual here, but there's a scripture, I actually read it today, and I love what it says. It says that you keep in perfect peace those who fix their thoughts on you. And I love that because it's like, man, you know what? In this world, man, we fix our thoughts on all these different things. And a lot of times we can fix our thoughts on the wrong things without knowing what it's causing us. You know what I mean? And I just wish my cousin, man, like that's one of the things I wish it's too late, you know what I mean? But again, I wish he could have been able to see what a great man he really was, you know what I mean? And the great man that people saw. But I know that sometimes that's what's difficult is for people to see. And that's the scary thing is that there's a lot of men out there that are masking their true self by trying to follow all these different things because that's what's being told or that's what's being expected of them. And there's nothing wrong with, pursuing dreams and pursuing goals. There's nothing wrong. I'm pursuing my goals. I'm pursuing my dreams. There's nothing wrong with that. I have goals. I have dreams. I have ambitions. But at the end of the day, if it's going to compromise who I am, then why?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If it's going to compromise my peace, then why? If it's going to compromise what I value, and that's the problem is that we have a lot of young men, like you said earlier, we have a lot of young men that are growing up without truly knowing what it is to become a man or not anyone there mentoring them because there's questions when you're becoming a man. Sometimes as something as simple, bro, like just for example, bro, just to kind of have fun with the topic, but when it comes to sex, bro, you know what I mean? Like how many young men have a jacked up misconception about sex? I know I did because
I think pornography really distorted the perception of what it is.
Yeah.
And then there's different parts of sex. There's the physical part and then there's the emotional part.
Exactly, bro.
So it is very skewed specifically for men because of pornography.
Yeah. And why? Because there isn't men that are actually there to break these things down. You know what I mean? Or like sometimes I go to church, you know what I mean? And sometimes even in the church, like they don't know how to talk about these things without being too religious and too spiritual. No, we got to talk to these young men what it is. We have to be able to talk to them and be able for them to be able to find who their true identity is. Because, bro, there's nothing more powerful than someone who knows who they are. There's nothing more powerful. Nothing can sway that man or that woman. Nothing can move them. Nothing can convince them. Nothing can peer pressure them, bro. When you have a young man, bro, that knows who they are, knows what family they come from, knows that they're loved, knows that they're cared about, knows that they have something to fall back on, bro, that is a high achiever. Yeah. That person, that young man, that young woman is set up to be successful in whatever they decide to do, right? So why is it that we don't go back? Why do we feel these people, why do we fill our young men, mostly our young men, with what it is? This is what it is to be a man. This is what it is. And then when they get to that age and they feel like, oh, I'm not a man because I don't get all these girls. What do you mean? Like, so you feel you're not a man because you don't get all these girls? You don't got all these girls around you because you haven't slept with 50, 100 women by the time you're 30? So you don't feel man enough because of that? That doesn't make you a real man. Anyone with a, thing can do that. You know what I mean? But what does it really take as a man? You know what I mean? Like, it's much more than that. And so we wrap our identities with these false things like, oh, I need to hit 1 million before I'm 30. I need to have a house before I'm 30. I need to do this. I need to do that. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when you wrap your identity in that, and you don't know who you are, it's so easy, man. Yeah. And that's what happened to me, man. Even after, I gave my life to God and everything, again, here's a young man. And what happened to me was I started to wrap myself around ministry. Yeah. And so now success was all about what I did in ministry. And I never dealt with the trauma that I had as a child. So I would hide behind this. I had like sort of like an imposter syndrome, you could say. Yeah. You know what I mean? Where if I do these things, then I'm going to be liked. Yeah. I had this people pleasing. Where did that come from? Because I've always wanted to please my dad. Yeah. I always, as a child, that was my goal, is I wanted to dress like my dad. I wanted to be a vaquero like my dad. My dad used to ride bulls. I'm going to ride bulls. My dad had a horse. I want a horse. My dad was in Mexico. I went to Mexico. I went to Mexico for 2 years, bro. So that's what I'm saying. Like, anyone can challenge me, bro, on manly stuff, bro. Like, let's go to the rancho, bro, and work. I know what it is to work in the rancho. I know what it is to work in the fields, bro. I know what it is. I know what it is to carry 60, 70 pound costales en maíz and take it back, bro. I know what it is to work like a real man. You know what I'm saying? But that never made me a real man, because the thing is, my identity was wrapped around all these different things. So what happened in my 20s, bro, is I was pursuing these dreams, which were good. They're honorable dreams. But at the same time, bro, I was never dealing with the things inside of me. I was never dealing with the real issues that eventually at 30 years old caught up to me. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's crazy because like our stories are somewhat similar, bro. You know what I mean? Like, as far as like what was the triggering, like, cause I was the same thing. Like, I finally was met with someone that rubbed me the wrong way. And I was at a tipping point already, bro. Yeah. I was masking my emotions. I was masking all this inner pain, all this guilt, all this shame. I was tired of the imposter syndrome. I was tired of people pleasing. Yeah. I was tired of like this supposedly this is what success is. I was tired of it, bro. And this guy rubbed me the wrong way, bro. I ended up knocking him out. You know what I mean? And I thank God that I was like, at that moment, I'm like, oh, dang, what am I doing? Yeah. Because I probably would have been like you. I probably would have just kept going. Yeah. But the thing is, like, at that moment, I'm like, oh my God, what happened? What have I done? And bro, like, I went into a real scary, dark thing too, because it's like, yeah, you start thinking, I'm going to lose everything. Yeah. Everything that I have been doing from 18 years old up until now. So everything that I've been doing for 12 years, I threw it away with just one moment. And I felt like I was going to lose my family. I felt like I was going to lose my home. I had a good job at that time. I was working for the county at that time. Yeah. I mean, I had good benefits, everything, bro. I was like, I'm going to lose everything. I'm going to lose everything. And that's why, man, I was finally faced with the mirror on the wall. You know what I mean? And I love what you said earlier. You said, we got to kill that man, but you know what? We got to kill the villain. Yeah. And the truth is, man, that there's a villain inside all of us. They call it the dragon. Yeah, man, we got to kill the villain inside, because there is a villain inside that is constantly, man, that villain is going to look different for every single person.
Yeah. And the thing about that villain is that he speaks in your voice. You know, he speaks in your language, and he knows your deepest fears. He knows your deepest desires. He knows everything about you, because that villain is you. Exactly. You know, you have everything inside you. You have the answers inside you. Yeah. And you know, there's this story that I can't remember what tribe. It's an old Native American story of the two wolves. You know, there's the wolf. I can't even remember the full story, but essentially you have the little angel and the little devil. Right. But it's you. It's you. You get to choose. What do you want to focus on? Right. Do you want to focus on this over here? You want to focus on this over here? Yeah. I have focused on that villain a long time. And I know what journey he takes me down, right? And there was something you said earlier that I wanted to also, piggyback off of. I feel, this is my own viewpoint, is I feel that as a man, you should pave your own path. You should have your own direction. It's good to have mentors and guides, it could be your father, it could be your pastor, it could be a friend, it could be a business associate,
right?
Someone that has your best interest in hand and has wisdom and has shown it through their own life that you can listen to. But at the end of the day, as a man, you have to pave your own way. You have to create your own path.
Right.
And when you do that, I feel that it does bring a lot of purpose and joy,
right. And confidence.
Like you started your own podcast. You're doing your own thing. You have your message. You have your brand. You have your vision. You have you. That's your thing.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, no one can take that from you.
Exactly.
You can say, this is mine. I created this. I have had mentors. I have guides. I have people that have invested in me and believe in me. And that's all great. But if you're doing something that you don't want to do, it doesn't matter if you're making millions. It doesn't matter if you quote unquote think you're doing great.
Yeah.
You're not going to be happy. And there's so many people that have committed, that have ended their life when on the outside it looks like, man, this guy has everything. Why would he do that? Chester Bennington, he was the lead singer for Linkin Park.
Yeah.
The dude was a freaking superstar. He had like 8 kids. He had a wife that he'd been together forever. Yeah. On the outside, it looks like this dude has everything.
Right.
What's his name? The singer.
Even Robin Williams.
There were so many people.
How much joy did he bring to everyone and laughter?
But there's something inside that you have to address.
Exactly.
You have to be able to wake up, look in the mirror, and be proud. Be proud of what you see, not only physically, because we all wither and die. You have to look at yourself, at your essence, at your core, and be like, I'm proud of you, dude. Like, look at what you have come from and look at what you have created. And that's another thing that I wanted to piggyback off of what you said was like, people are more worried about emulating someone else than creating their own thing. That's why I say you got to pave your own path.
Yeah.
Be proud of what you have accomplished based off of where you are coming from.
Right.
Like if I compare myself to Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'm never going to have those freaking gigantic arms. I don't have that genetics. I haven't been working out since I was like 5 years old, like the dude, But if I look back like, man, I just lost 40 pounds.
Exactly. Yeah.
I had to quit drinking Coke because I was addicted to that.
Yeah.
I had to be proud of what you have accomplished.
Right.
If you're making no income and then you get a job, be proud of that job, whatever it is. I don't care if you're working at McDonald's or anything. Be proud of what you have done.
Exactly.
Don't let no motherfucker tell you different.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what kind of car you have a car.
Exactly, man. And I think that's and man, you're hitting some really good points because man, and it really does come down to understanding yourself, understanding who you are. For me, it was understanding who I was in God, because not so much who I was in church. Because I think that's one of the mistakes that a lot of times we make is even when those that are Christians or those that go to church is that they wrap their identity in their church or in the ministry that they do, in the work that they do, and I say that because that's what happened to me. I was wrapped up in that identity that I didn't know what it really was to be a husband. I didn't know what it was to be a father. I didn't know what it was to be even a friend, because sometimes like you make these friendships or collaborations, but it's really selfish, honestly. Sometimes you're just thinking about how you can build the ministry. You're not really thinking. And that's why, like, I thank God for the journey that I've had to be in, because it didn't rock my faith. It could have rocked my faith, and it did rock my faith in a few things. But one of the things that it really did was that it made me get closer and lean closer to who I was in Christ, not in religion, not in a church, not in a ministry, who I was in him. And like the Bible says, man, I am fearfully and I am wonderfully made. So if I am fearfully and wonderfully made, there has been attention, detail. I am loved. I am cared about. He loves me for who I am, not for what I do. He does not love me based off my performance. He does not love me based off any of those things. He loves me for who I am.
Yeah.
And so when I was able to understand that, I mean, it just really gave me an identity. And now it gives me that identity, that brand. You know, that's what we call it nowadays, right? The brand. Yeah. Well, my brand is that. My brand is to be able to help young men that feel offbeat. You know what I'm saying? That feel offbeat. You feel offbeat. Cool. I felt offbeat.
Like my heart. I have a irregular heartbeat.
Yeah, there you go. So you know it, bro. You're offbeat, bro. You're offbeat, bro. You're offbeat, bro. You're born offbeat, man. It. And that's what I say. And that's why, like, even I am offbeat George. You know what I mean? Because nothing in my life since I was a child has been in rhythm. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like since.
Yeah. I love progressive music. You know.
Yeah, man.
It's odd time signatures. I love that shit.
Yeah, bro. It's you know, like. Nothing in my life has ever really made sense, you know what I mean? But when I hit 30, you know, things started to turn around. And it was through that darkest moment that I finally said, you know what, I'm gonna do counseling. Yeah. Not for anyone else. I don't care. I'm not gonna do medication. I don't want to do medication. I want to really heal. I want to really, and I feel like that's what men have to do. And what's so sad, man, is I'll talk to men and I'll be like, yo, man, like, it's cool we're talking, but you got to get into therapy. Yeah. And what really breaks my heart, man, is that a lot of times these men, I don't doubt they want help, but what hurts me is that sometimes they're in this place, but then they don't shoot to go get the help. Yeah. And I'm like, bro, like, how many times has McDonald's let you down, but you still go back? How many times has Starbucks let you down, but you still go back? Yeah. You know what I mean? How many times have you tried different things and you still go? It's like, come on. Like, I've had people, bro, like go to therapy and be like, oh, bro, like their intake form was just crazy. Like, I don't know. And it discourages them. And it's like, really? Or the receptionist talked to them bad, you know what I mean? Or didn't give them the appointment when they wanted it or something. And they give up, bro. Yeah, bro. Like going back to when, you know, my attempt, I had tried to find a therapist. Yeah. And I reached to my insurance company. They gave me a thick old list. And I called so many therapists and I wasn't able to get one. They were telling me, oh, we're all booked up. We don't take your insurance. We're all booked up for like weeks. And I'm going through this, but I was able to find a psychiatrist. And a psychiatrist is very different than a therapist. A psychiatrist will ask you a bunch of questions. Yeah, they will diagnose you with psychoanalyze a condition, and then they will prescribe medication. Yeah. So he asked me all these questions. I was telling him everything I was feeling. And he said, okay, you have a major depressive disorder, you have panic disorder, and you have extreme anxiety. So I'm going to give you Lexapro. You're going to take 10 milligrams a day. It's going to take about 3 to 4 weeks to affect you. And then, you know, you'll just take that dose and I'll see you in 3 months. And I did, you know, I was taking that. But even while I was taking the Lexapro was when I still tried to kill myself, you know, because it wasn't doing the job that I thought it was going to do. And I was pretty much taking that SSRI for about a year and a half. Yeah. And I decided, you know, I want to be able to face the world by my own reconnaissance, you know, by myself. I want to be able to be that hero and not have to utilize that substance. Now, I'm not saying for anyone that's out there taking, you know, listen to your doctor. Yeah. This is just my life and my experience, you know, and that's when I first dabbled into, because I was doing research. That's when I started to find out what natural remedies can I take, what substance. And the first thing was to clean up my diet. You know, stop eating all this shit. Yeah. You know, and then people would be amazed, bro. Your food can change your life, you know, your diet. And then it was like, I was a fat piece of crap. You know, I was like, lose some weight, get in shape, you know, have more energy. Started doing that. And then that's when I found about psilocybin, you know, and the benefits of microdosing, taking a small amount and how it would benefit for a long time, you know. So there's research done now that the positive effects of microdosing psilocybin can last up to like 6 months from one dosage. Yeah. You know, compared to me taking 10 milligrams of this pill every single day. That's a synthetic serotonin inhibitor or uptake inhibitor is like. I feel you, bro. Like the medication thing, I'm the same way. Again, like if it's something that a person an individual truly needs.
Yeah.
I'm not a medical professional to say otherwise, but what I would say is not just listen to your doctor, but challenge your doctor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because the thing is, I've seen people that I know, that I love, that I'm dear to, go down that route. But the thing is this, it's like, it's even like, it's like working out, man. It's, you can't go in, you know what I mean, and take a pill to fix, you're not going to get buff by taking a pill.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're not going to lose weight by taking a pill. It doesn't matter how many promises that pill makes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, you have to combine both. You got to supplement. If you have to supplement, you got to eat right. If you got to eat right, and you got to do the work. And that's the thing with mental health is that, like you said earlier, insurance companies and all this, like they don't take it to where it's like, they don't want to get you in so that we can help you through the problem. They want to see where they can fit you in so that you can talk, and then they can give you a medication. Now, I'm not saying all doctor facilities are like that. And that's why I didn't go that route. I went to an independent counseling center.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And what I said, I was like, no, you know what? I'm going to do the work. I'm going to do the therapy. I'm going to talk about what I need to talk about. Yeah. I'm going to get off my chest what I need to. And that's exactly what I did. So it got to the place where I didn't need that medication. You know what I mean? And I never took it, thankfully. Because honestly, like I said, people close to me have gone that route first. And then at the end of the day, like their follow-ups consist of, how are you doing with the medication? Oh, I'm doing great. Okay. Have you finished them? Yeah. Have you been taking it properly? Yes. How do you feel? Oh, well, I feel this. Okay, great. Here's another 30 days.
I'll tell you my experience with
it's like, come on, man. Like that's not help.
So after that first consultation meeting, he prescribed it. It was every 3 months. It would be literally like a 5-minute conversation on the phone. Hey, how's it going? Are you getting things done? Yeah. Are you feeling sad or any bouts of depression? No. How's your eating? It's good. Okay. How's your energy levels? They're good. Any side effects? No, other than, what I talked to you about before, not be able to sleep that well. Okay, that should go away by now. Let's keep you on the same dosage. We're going to refill you. Stay on the line so that we can give you your medication. This is the exact conversation. It was about a few seconds.
That's about right.
And then I said, okay, cool. So all 3 months out, she'll book your appointment. Your medication is going to be at the same pharmacy.
Yeah.
It was literally like a 30-second conversation.
Bro, it's so mechanical. It's so generalized.
And I would ask him, like, how long am I going to stay on this? Yeah. And like, they're like, well, we don't recommend that you just get off right away, because you can have like a really bad episode.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And
bro.
Like, why the hell do I want to keep taking this shit?
That's what I'm saying.
I thought you're trying to help me heal, not trying to make me an addict to a new substance.
And that's the thing, bro. Like and that's why, bro, like I don't knock anything, bro. Only like, I'll, don't ever try to like heal mental health with crystal meth and cocaine. Like, don't ever try to do that. You know what I'm saying? But I don't knock, you know what I mean? Like certain things, you know what I mean? Especially medicinal stuff, natural stuff. I don't knock it because, number one, I don't understand it. But at the same time, man, I'm like, you know what? Like what am I going to put my faith in?
Yeah.
I'm going to put my faith in the medical system? No, like I've seen the medical system fail over and over and over and over again. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's what makes it so hard for young men, for men, you know what I mean, to actually seek help, because there's two sides of the spectrum. There's one side that people actually play the system. Yeah. I grew up in around people that played the system.
Yeah, especially when it comes to like pain meds and all that.
Yeah, they played the system. They pretended to be crazy. Yeah. You know what I mean, for lighter sentences. They claim 5150 just so that they don't have to go do life sentences. Yeah. I mean, so there's a big issue, but the problem is this: at the end of the day, if you're suffering in silence and you know that something needs to be fixed, then this is where we got to do the work. Yeah. And this is where I really want to call men out and be like, look, like, let's do the work. Like it takes a real man to actually admit that, hey, you know what? I'm struggling with this. I need help with this. I need some good friends around me. I need some right people around me. You know what? I need to see a counselor. If this counselor doesn't work out with this counselor, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to go see another one. If I have to pay out of pocket, I'm going to pay out of pocket. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like insurance who cares if insurance doesn't cover? Who cares if this? Who cares if that? Do what you got to do, because there's people, your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your kids. If you have kids, your kids are depending on you, man. for you to get better, because it's not just about the present, but one of the things that really stood out to me the most when I was doing is that the way I was carrying myself and the way that I was reacting in my own home, I was basically going to scar my kids the same way or even worse.
Yeah, you're going to repeat some of the cycles. You
Yep,
know?
exactly.
And we all tend to do that. So that's a beautiful message, man. Again, George, I want to thank you, for coming on the show today and sharing your story. It was a good conversation,
man.
Yeah, man, I feel like we could go on forever.
Oh, damn. I didn't know, man. It's like at the time right now.
But
yeah, bro. Thank you.
I want to leave this final message to our viewers. If you or anyone you know is struggling with any type of mental health, there is help out there. Reach out. You're not alone. There's answers. There's keys. There's people that are willing to help. And above all, you have your family, you have your friends. If you can't afford a therapist, there's other avenues you can go through. There's other people that can go through. There's a lot of different ways. And we're going to put some stuff in the bottom. You can click on the links and it'll lead to different platforms that can guide you and help you out. George, is there any final message you want to leave? Where can we find you? And what's your message? Yeah, so I'm on IG as Offbeat Podcast _ follow me there. I'm putting a lot of content out there, different tips, pointers that we are giving in regards to mental health. I'm on YouTube too, Offbeat Podcast. But even, my DMs are open. I manage all my pages. So if there's even something that, man, you want to share, you want to talk about, hit us up in the DM. You know what I mean? Like, I respond to all the messages on there, you know what I mean? And we get messages, not all the time, but we do get messages sometimes of, man, like, thank you for sharing this. It's really helped. Just the other day, we got a message on TikTok, actually, of a young lady just saying, man, this is how I feel. I feel like I'm at the end, you know what I mean? And I was able to talk to this person and just let them know that. And I want to let you know the same thing. You are loved. You do matter. And you know what? Like Annabelle said, man, get help. Whatever you have to do, just do it. Just like Nike. That's it. Awesome, brother. Guys, make sure to subscribe to the Offbeat Podcast, to the Psilo Talk Podcast. Stay tuned for some future guests. Make sure to follow the boy Macca. And if you want to fill your orders for your psilocybin mushroom bars, make sure to reach out to the boy Macca. A huge shout out to the Coin Academy. And we'll see you guys next time. Peace.